All right, everybody, welcome back to the Keeping It Real podcast. And if we're gonna bring it back, we have to bring it back with the bang. So I had to bring my brother, Bikram Dosanjh.
Let's get it, Splash. Come on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're actually at where we at right now, Bikram?
We're at the cottage, man.
We're at the cottage filming this podcast. We've been wanting to do this for a while, but I'm so glad we finally got to do this. And we have to do it with cigars.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate it because you brought me a very special Rocky 60. This is a limited edition cigar, so I appreciate it, bro.
Bro, anytime, brother.
You already know I love
Of course,
cigars.
man. Of course, man. The highest standards for the highest, you know what I'm saying? High standards only here. High standards here only. But actually, funny thing, I was looking at my memories the other day, and I realized that me and Bikram met for the first time actually 2 years ago yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Yes, the meeting we had at Earl's was cool. Yes,
2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago.
That was 2022, November.
2022 to November 28th, when I came with my iPad, when all these notes for real estate millions. And another thing is that we had cigars that day as well. I remember you took me to Kleinberg. We went to grab the coffee and just honestly with the cigar talk for like an hour plus.
Yeah.
And
That's one thing I love about cigars is that you're able to sit there, have a good conversation, build a connection, build a relationship, and you stay sober.
yeah, exactly that. Well, how did you even get into cigars? And like, I know you don't really have any other vice. You don't drink, you don't, what I'm saying, you don't mess with any of that. The only thing you do is cigars.
Well, yeah. So if I'm gonna be honest with you, I mean, I used to mess with all of it, right? I used to drink, I used to do all that stuff, right? And at the end of the day, I've realized in my life that's gonna hold me back, right? And as much as I used to think it wasn't gonna hold me back, and I used to actually tell myself that being in certain environments, drinking with certain people was actually gonna help me do more business, right? So this is what I used to tell myself. But I got to a point where I'm like, if I really want to go to the next level, what's that one thing that's holding me back? And that was alcohol, right? So that was when I made the decision to cut it out. But to be honest, like you said, you got to have some type of vice, man. I mean, you got to do something. I enjoy smoking cigars. They're fun. Like I said, we have a good conversation. But I got into it back in the day, but it wasn't really a thing. I would smoke very randomly if someone brought a cigar or you're at some place or some event. But as I started to learn a little bit more about the culture and the history about it, it just became a thing, man.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And in today's podcast, I don't really want to just go over all the questions that people be asking you all the time, right? What's your story? How'd you get started in real estate? I think, people can just watch the other podcasts or, they've heard that before. I really just want to focus on really the last 2 years, right? Where I've got to know you, where I've seen, growth in you, and just, talk a little bit about the transition you made from real estate, right?
Yeah.
Getting into all these other businesses. I want to talk about obstacles. I want to talk about so many other things, just outside of just like real estate, because you're very well known in the real estate space. We know you sold buildings, buildings of real estate. I want to make it more personal, where people can kind of genuinely get to know you.
Yeah.
And
I like
also see like genuinely behind the scenes, right? Because I know like online they just see Bikram, but I know there's so much more to it, right? Like you go through a lot of things, all that. But speaking of that, man, what even made you want to transition into a whole new business that you kind of knew nothing about? You just kind of went into it and went all in, right? Like it's really cool because, like I said, I think I said that I gave this compliment to Manveer, and this applies to you as well, is that you guys have what I call the Midas touch, right? You guys decide you're gonna go into something, you do it very well, and you see results, right? So how were you able to take your experiences and everything, go to a whole new business and see success at such a short time?
Yeah. So a lot of it, I'll be honest, is that, being in real estate for so long, you learned a lot, right? And I essentially, all those skills that I had developed over the last decade were transferable, right? So, you understand on how to deal with people,
Right.
You understand the power of a network, right? You understand communication, you understand sales, all these type of things that you need to thrive in any business, right? But the biggest reason why we transitioned was that we wanted to be in a business that had no limits, right? And what I mean by that, in real estate, regardless of how good I am, how many deals I can do, at the end of the day, it goes back to a simple thing. You're trading time for money.
Right.
What that means is, how many deals can you actually physically do in a day, in a year? I mean, you're a one-man show, maybe you got a small team, but you can't really duplicate, so you can't scale. So it went back to, we needed to see something that we could scale, that had unlimited potential, but also didn't have significant overhead to run.
Right.
Right? And that's kind of how we made the transition.
And I like something that you said right there, right? It was more about the skills and network and less about the money. And I think why I'm bringing that up is I see a lot of young people fall into the trap of chasing money rather than chasing skills, knowledge, and actually being someone of value instead of like, because nowadays with the online world, there's so many ways where someone can just make money, almost like it's like let's say like meme coins. There's kids making hundreds of thousands of dollars just to say just trading meme coins, right? Honestly, genuinely gambling. But at the end of the day, it's like they don't have the skills. If you ask them to get into a business in another business, they're not able to really. They have nothing of value. It's almost luck. So I'm glad you touched on that. I want to touch more on the network side of things. But before we even do that, I want to bring the conversation to you and your brothers, man. Like I think just getting to know not just you but your brothers as well in the last couple of years. I really really admire the relationship that you guys have, how close you guys are. Touch a little bit more about how important your brothers are in your life, and like how you guys kind of work together to just build this whole thing up.
I mean, extremely important, right? My brothers have been a crucial part about everything. Not only my brothers, my parents, my wife, my family has been a big
100%.
part about it, a big part of the whole success. But the relationship with me and my brothers is essentially we don't compete with each other. Okay, we collaborate, and what we do is we see who has strengths in what and who has a weakness in something else. And one of the brothers is good at something else, one of them is good at something else, right? So essentially what we do is we let one person run that, one person run this, and we just work really well together.
Right. No, 100%. You guys are like working off of each other rather than like competing. There's that's what I've noticed, is that there's no pride and ego between you guys. You guys genuinely want to see each other win.
Yeah.
And again, you're more than like, trying to help when it does come to anything you guys are doing.
Like the big thing is like, when I was younger, as soon as I started making money early on, when I was, probably early 20s, I had quickly realized that I wanted everyone to make money. Right. Because I didn't want to just become the one that makes money myself.
Right.
Because in all honesty, that's what creates a drift.
Right.
It really does. And I saw that in some of my mentors. I'm going to be honest. I saw that where I had some mentors that were extremely successful. However, they were the only ones that became successful. And what happened was it created, unfortunately, a lot of resentment within the family.
Wow.
Right. So I saw these things happening. I'm like, listen, if I'm going to get the bag, I got to make sure we all get it. Right. And at the end of the day, you could want that for somebody, but they gotta want it themselves, right? So I'm very fortunate in a way where my brothers are also very driven individuals.
Right. No, 100%, 100%. All of them are like so unique and just amazing in their own way. You know what I mean? Like a Manveer, Amber, you as well. And I was actually talking to my friend the other day about this, and it's a direct reflection on, like, I would say your parents and how they raised you. I would love to like kind of hear a little bit more about their involvement in like all of your guys' success, how they raised you. So please touch on that.
I mean, if I go back to my childhood, I always say like I learned a lot from my parents. I did, right? And that does make a big difference, because we don't actually understand sometimes that your childhood or the way that your parents talk to you and all these type of things can create a positive or a negative impact on your future. And most people don't realize that as they become adults, as they get older, that there's certain things, the reason why they are who they are, and the reason why they have so many fear of certain things is because of maybe what their parents had told them when they were young.
Yes,
Right. So, my parents, I got to give it up to my mom, because she always pushed all of us to be who we were. So not who she wanted us to be. Right? There's a big difference.
There's a huge difference,
right?
I would say, especially in our community.
Massive
It's a
difference,
huge thing.
right? Like, I was not good at school. I'm gonna be honest, I was not good at school. And my teachers would tell my mom that, your son's not good at school. He's got a learning disability, he's got a behavior problem, blah, 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 all this type of shit. They even put me in ESL, right? And I'm born in Canada,
Right.
which is, wow, funny looking back at it now. But my mom, always told me in front of the teachers that my son is going to become something big one day.
Wow.
Right. And I look at it now and I'm like, that was huge, but I didn't know it at that time. Right. And she always said that, you know what, it's okay. If you didn't do good in this, you'll do good at something else. So that is what I learned from my mom, to never give up, be persistent. Right. But I also learned extreme work ethic. Right. Because they came here as immigrants, like a lot of people's parents do. And I saw them work, jobs, factory jobs, like just not the best jobs, but whatever they had to do to provide, right? And they never complained, and they were able, and they did that. And I look at it like, as we got older, that if they went through all of that, right? I mean, what's holding me back?
Right.
Right. So I the work ethic, I learned from them, the persistence, and never giving up. And them letting us do what we wanted to do was huge, right? I got some friends that if they don't finish university and become a certain, I don't know, doctor, lawyer, engineer, typical things, that their parents are always shitting on them.
Right.
Right. Another thing that parents, that what they do that is pretty detrimental to the kid as he gets older is comparing that kid to other kids.
Right. That's actually a huge
Right.
thing for
Right.
sure.
Oh, look at your cousin. Your cousin's 60. Your cousin's doing this. Your cousin's doing that. Or your cousin just became a doctor. What are you doing? What are you doing? Right. None of that shit existed in my household.
Wow.
Right. And so for me, I didn't even understand that that is what goes on in other households until later on in my life, from my friends and stuff like that. I started to realize, why don't you guys get it? Right. And then I realized the reason why they just don't get it is because they were always just told they weren't good enough. Right. And that that messes you up mentally.
100%.
Right? You got to understand that. And if it has messed you up, you got to be aware of it so you could actually change it.
Right.
Right. Because if you're not aware, you can't change.
Right. And I want to actually touch on that, just hanging out with you for the last couple of years as well. One thing I take from you is, you're always positive.
Yeah.
And another thing is your mindset, what I'm saying is I've never kind of seen you slip up on when it comes to that side of things, right?
Yeah.
Even though you might be going through, honestly, things that would make people depressed and genuinely go crazy. I've always seen you just maintain a certain level of, calmness and such. And I know how important mindset is to you. I also understand that it's one of the reasons, you believe as well why you were able to succeed in all these different areas. Let's touch a little bit more on that, man. You know what I'm saying? The importance of mindset because I think, mindset just happens to be a thing where people kind of try to dismiss it, right? They're like, yeah, I want the money. Yeah, sure, mindset, cool. Yeah, I got to think, but whatever, you know what I mean? But I want to just take some time to touch on the importance of that, why it is such a big factor or topic in your life.
I mean, it's huge because I'm going to ask you a question. I actually asked a bunch of people this question, but you already know the answer to my question. Maybe you don't. But what is the most powerful technology in this world?
Right now, I was gonna say AI, AI,
right?
ChatGPT.
So people say AI, ChatGPT. I had some people say iPhone, all these type of things when I asked this question. And when you break it down, okay, and there's been billions of dollars put behind these things to make them what they are today, right? But who thought about that idea?
Humans.
A person, a human, right? So what I'm trying to get at here is that your mind is the most powerful technology in this world by far. Right. So when I talk about mindset, it's essentially what you believe, what you tell yourself, your self-talk, what your what you internally think is possible for you or not possible for you. It goes back to you. Right. So if you don't believe that you're going to become successful, right? And success can be something totally different for everybody. It's not the same thing, right? But if you don't believe you can do it, well, guess what? You're not doing it. Right. So it goes back to what you believe is possible. And a lot of people have limiting beliefs on what they believe they can accomplish. Right. So this is why I spend a lot of time on mindset. But that goes back to, you got to understand why. Why do you want to get a certain amount of money? What would that do for you? How would that change your life? Right. You got to visualize. You got to start to paint that image. You got to understand that your current reality does not have to be your future reality.
And on that, let's say someone listening right now is like, yeah, Bikram, I understand I have the most powerful technology in my mind, but I am going through so much right now that the last thing I'm thinking about is the future and a positive foresight, And I know you've probably gone through periods in your time where you felt that as well. What would you say to people like that are thinking this way right now, or have these thoughts right now as we're talking about this?
Listen, that's a really good question, right? Because at the end of the day, we all go through ups and downs in our life, right? Everyone goes through it, and here's the thing: you got to really see it as that it was meant to happen for a reason, right? So if you're going through some dark times right now, this was meant for you to go through, for you to be able to learn from this. Number one, for you to be able to develop the character, okay, develop the person, okay, that can overcome this. Because as you overcome it, you will be a completely different person after the fact. Right. And here's the thing, man. There's so many things that are going on. The economy, the government, things that are outside of our control. Can I go and change the interest rates? I can't change it, even if
I wish you could.
No, I wish I could.
I wish you could.
Right. So you could wish all you want, but you can't change it. right? So you got to stop spending time on the things that you can't control. And you got to spend time on the things that you can control. What can you control? You can control yourself.
Right.
You can control what you do. You can control what you think.
Right.
You can control your thoughts, change your thoughts, right? So it goes back down to focusing on what you can control. And at the end of the day, man, everyone goes through ups and downs. And what I do, as upset as I get, sometimes as pissed off as I get, like right now I'm going through a bunch of BS, right? With some of my real estate stuff with my partners. And unfortunately, if I get pissed or if I get angry and I'm pissed, I am angry, but what is that going to accomplish?
Right.
Right? It's not going to accomplish anything, right?
It's going to affect actually every other area of your life.
100%, right? 100% it is. So all I do is I tell myself that I believe in God a lot. So I just say, this is what God's got to put me through to be able to go to the next level of my life,
100%.
right? It's like a mountain. When you're climbing a mountain and you get halfway up, okay, you're going to have some other issues that you got to get to the other part of the mountain. You're going to have to go through some other things that are now more difficult.
Right.
Right? But if you give up, well, you didn't make it to the top. Right? Simple as that. So everything happens for a reason, number one. But number two, it's a blessing in disguise.
Oh, it always is.
Yeah.
It always is.
is.
It always is.
Yeah.
That's the best part about it. And like you said, I think we were talking about this earlier as well, is like the same things, the same circumstances in your life that you use to victimize yourself can be used to empower yourself as well, right?
Facts.
I think there was a story, I don't know how true this is, it was about these two brothers, twin brothers almost, that grew up with the alcoholic father. And, I think they went back to those kids when they were adults, and one was a very successful person and another one was an alcoholic. And when they asked both of them why their life is the way it is, they both said, look how I grew up.
Yeah.
Right? So one guy decided to look at it as in a positive way of like, okay, you know what? I learned, this is what I've learned from my family. I'm gonna make sure it doesn't happen. And the other one just became a victim and said, you know what? This is how my life is.
Yeah.
This is my reality.
Yeah.
Right? So you're right. Like, it's always about how you are viewing it. And I think we were talking about it the other day as well, is like, you don't really learn things when things are going well. If anything, that's the time when you get spoiled. That's when you allow yourself to kind of, like drift down, right? So sometimes, man, it's like going through these things are like much needed wake up and reality checks in our life to like just get us to that next level, right?
Man, you learn a lot more when things are not going well.
100%.
Right? And that's when you could actually sit there and think and reflect.
Right.
On what were this pretty much the decisions you made that got you to this point.
Right.
Because you made decisions that
Yep.
got you to that point. You did certain things that got you to that point.
100%.
Right? And you have two choices. You either play the victim card, and if you play that card, well, sorry for you, bro.
Right.
Right? Because at the end of the day, that ain't gonna get you anywhere. That is not gonna get you. You cannot blame everything external, blame your parents, blame your upbringing, you cannot, right? You gotta say, it is what it is, right? I went through this because I had to go through it, but I am going to become a completely different person when I'm out of it.
100%.
Right? And so it just goes back to, see, everything goes back to you.
Yeah.
Like, it's how you actually choose to act on it, man.
You made a really great point there, and something to take as you're saying that is, as you're even saying that, you're taking responsibility for your action.
You have to.
You know what I mean? And I think that's missing in our life, is like just people just self-accountability,
Yeah.
right? You were just saying external things. How many people are blaming this, that, them, right? When at the end of the day, it's like, wait. All this happened because of you,
Yeah,
right? It's you're the cornerstone of all of it. Like you said, the only thing you control is your actions and your thoughts.
that's it.
So because of that, you led yourself there.
Yeah,
So don't go out there blaming everyone. And another point that you made out, which I really like, is everything happens for a reason. People love saying that, but only when things are going right, right? If you believe that, you got to keep that same energy even when things are going wrong, that, hey, everything happens for a reason.
yeah.
So it's you made some great points, and I think what I like there the most is the accountability there, and genuinely taking responsibility, because how easy it is to blame.
Without accountability, self-accountability, you're just gonna be in that phase of your life where you don't take things into your own hands. Right? I'm gonna say it again. Without you being accountable to yourself, And what does that mean? You got to take ownership and responsibility for whatever's happening. And you also got to take ownership and responsibility to get out of that situation.
100%.
Right? It goes back to you. And the thing is, you know, what I do is, even regardless of things going down or up, whatever the case, you just be grateful. Right? You got to be grateful every single day that you got life. Right? Like the most basic thing, that you wake up in the morning. I mean, that is a thing to be super grateful for. Because as you're grateful for things, even when things are not going your way, you know, at the end of the day, all you do is you reinforce the positivity back into your mindset. That's what you got to do.
100%.
And this is something that you got to do on a daily. It's not like you're going to do it for 5 days and your life's going to change, you know, or you do it for like a year and your life's great and then you stop doing it. No, this is something you got to do daily.
We actually talked about this the other day, I think, when we were here as well, is about like it's the smallest thing that's become second nature to us, that like, yo, we take sometimes for granted, you know, because we just focus maybe so much on our problems and the future and, you know, all that. But man, like even, you know, being able to just sit down, smoke cigars,
100%,
like it's such a blessing, right? It's such a blessing. And
Well, being able to do this on a Friday in the middle of the day,
exactly, right?
right?
Yeah,
Like we don't got to be stuck in an office doing something that we don't want to do.
exactly
Right.
exactly that makes, you know, that's everything, right? At the end of the day, being able to just, again, and to what you said about, you know, the gratitude side of things, I also realized, because, you know, everyone has that's another huge thing. I would say, I think people listening, you got to understand, is like, problems are not exclusive to you. Right?
Everyone's got it.
Everyone's got it. And I was just going to bring up, is like, you know, I think once I got to know you and you're telling me some of your problems, I'm looking at myself like, yo, what am I complaining about? You know what I mean? And maybe you have some mentors that have some crazy problems where you're like,
Yeah.
man, my thing is so minuscule
Yeah.
compared to, like, you know, what people are like going through in reality. So it's all about the perception. It's
Yeah.
all about the perception, right? Speaking of mentors, you know, I want to talk about that. It's a huge topic, you know, in the online space right now. People are always asking me, hey, like, how do I get a mentor? How do I know what the right mentor is? I would love to kind of just hear, you know, some of your perspectives on mentorship. I know how much you value mentorship. You know, I look at you as a mentor as well in my life, and a lot of different areas of my life. I want you to speak on, you know, the importance of mentorships and how different mentors in your life have, like, you know, came and just honestly made significant, like, exponential change.
Yeah. I mean, you know, mentors have completely transformed my life. And I look back at it, you know, going back quick, to, you know, going back memory lane quick to real estate when I was 18. You know, when I started off in real estate, I didn't have no mentor. All I knew is that I had a goal that I wanted to make 6 figures a year. That's it. I wanted to make 6 figures a year. And I didn't see that as a hard thing to do, because I looked at it, I got to sell, you know, 1 property a month. 6, 7 months went by, did 0 deals. Brutal, right? Literally almost gave up, almost quit. And this is why I believe everything happens for a reason. I happened to meet my first mentor, right? And he shifted my mindset completely on what I believed was possible, but he also showed me what to do and what not to do, right? He showed me where to focus and where not to focus.
Right.
And that small thing, you know, when you could learn from someone that's already done what you want to do, and you're able to put yourself around them and gain the experience that they've already, you know, gone through, you're going to get there way faster.
Way faster.
Right?
Yeah.
Because now you have someone that's done what you want to do. They're literally going to give you a blueprint of, hey, stay on this path. Don't end up on this path. And if you do, you got to be able to pivot back to this path.
Right.
Right? So that's the power of a mentor. I mean, from that first time when I met that mentor, you know, a month later, I ended up selling 8 condos in downtown Toronto.
Wow.
Right? You know, 2 months later, I sold 22. Right? And a year later, I sold 400. And I'd always look back at it. What if I never met him? What if I never met him? Right? I don't know.
You're still probably be aiming for 6 figures a year.
Be an average agent.
Yeah, just the average person.
Right? So and it goes back, his mindset was different. Right? How he was different. Simple as that. Right? And other mentors came into my life. And here's the thing. As you put yourself out there, right? And as long as you're able to take action and execute, mentors will show up in your life. But it goes back to you. They could tell you, Splash, they could tell you everything you got to do, but who's got to do it?
You. That's the thing.
Right? So, you know, there's another whole thing going on where people want all the information and they get all the information, but they don't do nothing with the information.
Trust me.
Right? It's like, you know, people that say I read every day, which is great. It's a great thing to do, right? But are you reading and applying it? Reading is one thing. You got to, it's, you know, they say knowledge is power. It's like applied knowledge.
I think knowledge is potential. Knowledge is potential.
Yeah,
It's only power after you apply it. Exactly.
There you go. You got to be able to apply it.
Right.
Right. So the mentors have completely changed my life. I mean, I just got off the phone with one of my mentors literally earlier this morning. And the one thing that I love is as you go out there and you prove and you become successful, you know, your mentors now will also look at you like, yeah, yo, bro, this guy actually does it. Right. And what that does is now it goes from a mentor to a friend.
A friend, yeah.
Right. And you develop a friendship.
Yeah.
Right. Where you're able to pick up the phone and call and say, listen, I'm going through this right now. How do I get out of this? Right. I literally had one of my mentors kind of help me get out of a situation that I was going through.
Right.
And I was going through a situation for like 7-8 months between lawyers and all this type of stuff between some of our properties. And you know, if I had listened to the lawyers, no offense to, you know, lawyers, but we still would be fighting.
Right.
Right. We still be going back and forth because the lawyer's going to tell you you're right. It's going to tell me I'm right. And at the end of the day, the person that's going to resolve the situation is the two people. Right. So my mentor literally just told me, he goes, listen, Bick, I've been through what you've been through. I spent, you know, millions in my life between, you know, this type of litigation shit. Right. And looking back at it today, that negativity, that strain on you, that bad energy, it ain't worth it in the long run. Right. Cut your losses, have a human-to-human conversation, figure out something that's fair. If you're going to lose some money, it's all good. Do you believe you can make money? I'm like, yeah. He goes, so who gives a shit? Bro, you're going to make way more, right? But if you stay stuck there, well, guess what? You're losing out on the potential that you could do.
Right.
Right? So he's like, just figure it out. So that's what, literally that day I picked up the phone. I called the person. I'm like, listen, bro, we got to meet up.
Right.
Let's just talk.
Right.
Let's just figure this out. You know, we were friends before this. We'll be friends after this, right? And at the end of the day, the problem got resolved.
Right.
Right. So I look at it, you know, my mentor helped me navigate my way through it.
Right. Right. And that's the best part about mentors is I think, you know, they are able to look at things from a different perspective. And also, like, you know, we have blind spots we don't even know about.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And then they're able to point it out and be like, hey, listen, like this out. And like you said, right, it's like, man, imagine like like if you were trying to figure this whole thing out on yourself, you probably would have spent more time, more energy, more money. And honestly, the solution might have been worse than what you were able to do, right?
You bring more stress to your life.
Way
unnecessary stress.
Yeah. And I guess like quickly, let's touch on that as well. You know, you're talking about some of the obstacles you've gone through. Until you told me, I couldn't even see it in your face. You know what I'm saying? In a way, right? So the question to you is like, you know, how are you able to maintain a positive foresight of the future while also day to day going through all these obstacles and things that, again, like I said, things that would make people depressed, things that would make people go crazy, right? How are you able to still maintain a calmness in these type of situations, man?
It's not easy, but there's a few things I do, right? And another thing that I learned from a different mentor, right? I mean, something that I do every single day, like, you know, on my phone, I literally have on my notes things that I go through on a daily, which is, you know, certain thoughts that I tell myself, right?
Wow.
And these are certain things that I review this daily, right? Goals that I want to accomplish, things that I want to become, right? And what I do is every morning I visualize, right? So I spend time visualizing what that life feels like, number one. I start to see it, I start to believe it, and I say, yo, I'm gonna get it. Yeah. Right. So whatever I'm going through, like I go back, like how we started. Whatever I'm going through is what I gotta go through to get that. So it is what it is. Right. If I sit there and complain about everything, well, guess what? The only person I'm screwing up is myself.
Right. And the ones around you.
And the ones around you. Right. So that's how I maintain positivity. And I don't show it because there's no reason for me to show it to other people, because why would I show it? Do I want them to feel bad for me?
Right. Sympathy ain't gonna solve your problem.
Ain't gonna fix nothing, right? No, people complain and they show I'm going through this, I'm going through that. Okay, what are you gonna do to get out of it?
Right.
What are you gonna do to get out of it?
Right.
Right? At the end of the day, that's why I say it goes back to you. What are you gonna do?
Right.
Right? You're gonna sit there and complain all day because that ain't gonna do shit.
Nothing.
Right? You gotta figure out a solution. You gotta just get out. It is.
It's very interesting that you actually, like, you know, have like things that you read and thoughts and all. It's interesting because I think maybe, let's say, like, certain people in our space, they look at that and they see it as like more woo woo, and like the.
Hey,
What would you say to that?
I would say this is an honest answer. This is what I would say. If somebody told me this when I was like a 23-year-old Bikram, I would say, bro, what is it?
You were talking about it. You said, yo,
Right?
you're telling me your morning routine, and you said if a 20-year-old Bikram just saw that, you'd be like laughing at you
I
probably.
would be, right? There's
Yeah.
no way I would be doing this, right?
Right.
So, I understand, right? But here's the thing: if you don't spend time on your thoughts, on what you think, on what you believe, because you got to reprogram your mind,
Right.
and it's got to go deeper. You got to reprogram your subconscious mind, because your subconscious controls everything that's happening in your reality,
Right.
and you're not even aware of it. Okay, so the reason why I spend time on this is because I study people that are way more successful than me. Okay, I study the greats, and if this is something that they do on the daily, there's a reason they do it,
Right.
right? So I've seen it's a common thing amongst extremely successful people. So that's why I do it,
Yeah.
right? And really, what it does is it reprograms who you are.
Right.
It goes back to what I said. What's the #1 technology in the world? You. People just don't know how to unlock it. They don't know how to unlock it, right? And hey, power of law, mentors.
100%. I guess on that point as well, I'm just jumping back to some of the things you said, with your past with drinking and such. Because it's easier said than done. Saying, yeah, I just quit, right? Genuinely easier said than done. What?
I didn't just quit. It was not even.
So that's the question. Is like, what was the mindset shift that you had to go through, and such, where because I haven't seen you drink at all ever since I met you. Like, I never slipped up even once.
Yeah.
And again, it's easier said than done, right? To even just not slip back to it.
You know what? Listen, man. I wish there was everyone's got their own whatever they have to go through. I had to go through some real rock bottoms. I had to go through some real dark moments in my life. And listen, I was financially on top. Like I was making money.
Right.
Money was coming in like no tomorrow, right? And I ended up just drinking too much, partying, just being with the wrong people, wrong environment. So if you're young and you're watching this, right, your first goal is probably you want to get money, right? And as you get that money, you might want to be at the clubs. You might want to be popping the bottles. And listen, do it. You got to do it. You got to get out of your system. But that could also drown you. And there's so many people out there that have lost it all, right, to that lifestyle. So I went through some moments in my life where I was losing a lot of things, relationships. And I knew deep down inside I was letting myself down.
Right.
But I wouldn't accept it.
Why?
Okay? Because it's hard to accept. It's very tough to accept, right? So going to your point, this is why self-accountability, as simple as that term is, it's completely different when you actually got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Easier said than
Right?
done.
Like, people say discipline. Yeah, discipline. But self-discipline,
Right.
there's a difference. Self-discipline is, what are you doing when no one's watching?
Right. Wow.
What are you doing when you're not around people? What are you doing? Right? So it goes back to self-discipline, self-accountability, but I had to make some decisions. Okay. I got to give it up to Manveer. I got to give it up to my wife, Bibbs. That, Manveer was the first one that actually made me realize, like, yo, bro, you can accomplish some crazy things in your life. You have next level potential. Like, whatever you do, you win, right? But there's one thing that you're doing that is always going to hold you back from winning.
Wow.
And it's alcohol, right? And I just wouldn't accept it, right? But when I hit the rock bottoms, and I had to hit like 5, 6, 7 of them, right? So everyone's journey is going to be different.
Very different, right?
For me, it was like I had to hit boom, and then, okay, life's great again. Then boom, and boom. And then when it just got to the last one, I was like, yo, yeah, they're all right. Right? I got to cut this shit out because this is going to destroy me. And then I started to look at people that had all the money, but they were miserable. Their families were ripped apart.
Right.
Okay. They don't even have real friends around them because everything about them is just money. So I'm like, that's not what I want to become. That's not who I want to become. And I just made the decision, like, I got to cut it out. And I spent a lot of time I'll be honest, I spent a lot of time going to YouTube and I would research people that were extremely successful that had similar problems.
Wow.
Okay. And I spent like months watching these videos, like on the way to the gym, you know, even when I was sitting here smoking a cigar, I would watch a video on someone that went through a lot of shit in their life and how they were able to transform, you know. So yeah, man, I mean, there's no short answer to this, but for me, it was like, I knew it was something I had to do.
Right. 100%. And something that you pointed out there, the 2 points is like, you know, like you said, you know, a lot of people with all the money in the world, but their whole network is people, yes men, right?
Yeah,
They'll never go against them. And you even saying like, you know, it's awesome that you have the relationship with your brother and also your mentors where, you know, they can come to you and keep it real with you. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then that actually means so much more than like people think.
100%, man.
Like where people can come and just be real with you. I think that's missing in a lot of, I would say, like relationships and a lot of people's environment, right? Is where other people can call you out on your stuff and be like, hey, listen,
Yeah.
you know, you're messing up here.
Yeah.
Like
And you're right. And that's the thing, like mentors can help you do, because, you know, when you're stacking it up, everybody's there for the ride.
Yep.
Everybody's there for the show, for the fun, for all that stuff. And like you said, they're all a guest, man, right? Because ain't nobody gonna tell you you're the life of the party. But also ain't nobody gonna tell you that, yo, you know, you gotta stop this is that. It's only people that truly care for you.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, man, I'm fortunate that I had that. And yeah, man.
Yeah. And yeah, in those moments, it's like you need that. You need that. Otherwise, like that's how like I know, you know, without getting the details, I know so many people like that, again, just surround themselves with yes men, and then they're never gonna change. You know, I'm gonna say same old thing, same old, because like you said, they're the life of the party. Because why would I stop?
Yeah. But see,
The hand that feeds me, you know what I mean?
but they got the power to change.
Yep.
But very few want to accept.
Mm.
You gotta accept.
Yep.
You gotta accept the problem, man.
Yep.
Right? And then you gotta understand that change. This is a quote from Robin Sharma, but I don't even know the exact wording. But you know, change is messy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when you start, it really is, right? But it's beautiful when you come out of it.
100%. It's always toughest in the beginning.
Very tough in it.
And then something that you pointed out there, you know, like I read this in this book. One of my favorite books is called The Art of Living, and it has a whole chapter on reputation versus character.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think, you know, a lot of times in life, people, in general, I think a lot of people, you know, care more about their reputation, how they are viewed, more than like what you said, who they are when they're alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, like you said, it takes a lot to get to that point where you start valuing your character more than the reputation, right? Especially in the social media world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is like, yo, some people have the most messed up lives, but then you look at their social media,
Yeah.
you think they're living the dream life.
Yeah.
You know, which is crazy. But no, it's great that you brought that up. I want to continue on the network side of things. I believe that, you know, like money is good. You know, money is a very, very money's a very, very, like, you know, money's important and all that. But I also believe that there's a lot of things in life that money could not buy. And one of them is like a good network of people, you know what I'm saying? I wanted you to just, again, touch a little bit more about like, you know, the importance of networking and also networking with the right people. You know, we talked about mentors, but just on the networking side of things, why you need a really strong network, right? Again, outside of money, right? Like in that sense, in that context.
I mean, see, like a network. You guys have heard the saying, network, net worth.
Yeah, you guys are
right. So you know, you need to develop a network, and any business you're in, anything that you do, a network is required, because everything is a people business.
Right.
Okay, to whatever you want to call it, it requires people business. Okay, so I believe, right, is that you want to be able to develop a network, and you want to have the right network, right? And you might not know what the right network is right now, but what the first thing you want to do is align yourself with people that are already doing what you want to do, right? And you want to be able to get yourself in those circles,
Right.
And sometimes you got to pay. You got to pay to be there. Pay to be there, right? You got to, you got to put yourself in those environments, right? Because as you put yourself around certain people, your what you think is possible now is going to start to change, because you might not have been exposed to certain things
Right.
in your current, life. And now when you're around certain people that are doing something completely different on a different level, and not just financially, right? You start to think completely different.
Right.
Right. And your network, at the end of the day, as long as you're good and your reputation is good, you're a man or a girl of your word, right? It's gonna reward you.
Yep.
Right? It's gonna reward you because that's gonna open up. It's gonna open up a bigger network, and people will connect you to other people. Like I just went through an issue right now that we were going through some problem, if you want to call it, right? Where we had transferred some money, right, from one of our businesses into our bank account, right? And what simply happened is because the transaction was larger than the regular transaction happening in that account, that the bank chose to hold that money, right? And I'm not talking about a 5-day hold. They held it for like 5 weeks.
Wow.
Right? So imagine that you work, you do all this type of stuff, and now you got this money sitting and you moved it to one of your bank accounts because from that account you have to make a draft for a real estate property, for example.
Right.
Right? And now the bank says, "Oh, wait, we're gonna hold your money." Right? And this happened to me.
Yep.
And they held it for 5 weeks, right? And we were trying everything that we could. I contacted everybody that I knew that was at that bank, with no success. Okay. And I called one of my mentors, right? That I knew that was a very wealthy guy, right? And just called him and I said, "This is what's going on." And he's like, hold up, man. He's like, "Well, let me help you get out of this." But he goes, he told me, he's like, "This is where you messed up, right? This is what you should have done, right? You should have notified the bank that this was going to come in, right? Like, all these type of things." And really what it was is he helped us get out of this. He helped us, like once he got involved with helping, the 5 weeks of bullshit that we had to go through, he was kind of able to resolve way faster because he obviously knew people in his network that he was going to pick up the phone and call.
Right.
Right. So it goes back to the power of a network.
Something you couldn't have bought with money.
No.
You couldn't. There's no way you could have bought that type of access or anything with money.
No. Right. And I met this person when I was like 2021. Right. And I'm 34 now. So I've kept that relationship. Goes back here. Another thing is you got to keep your relationships. Right. People build and they burn their bridges.
Yeah.
Right. They burn their bridges over. And me and this mentor have had our disagreements. Right. We've had we don't see things the same way. Right. But I never burnt that bridge. Right. Right. And so what I'm trying to say is like, never burn your bridges. Okay. Your reputation means everything. And over the years, you'll strengthen that network. And it'll become one day you never know when you're going to need it.
100%. 100%.
Like we just needed it right now. I would have never thought we'd be in this situation, but we ended up in it.
Right. Power of the network, man. You were even telling me, right? Like you'd never even been to Alberta. Yeah. You guys made some posts. You filled out the room with like hundreds of people. Power of the network. Yeah. Like I wanted to talk about personal branding. One, I think you have an amazing personal brand, very authentic. You share real stories, and I know it impacts people as well. I guess my first question is like, what made you want to like put yourself out there to begin with, right? Let's start with that question. What made you want to start putting yourself out there? Because normally people get rich and they want to be low key. They want to, you know what I'm saying, and all that. But what was your reasoning for like putting yourself out there, sharing your lessons, right? And genuinely, man, helping people with your content, right? Like people that you don't even know exist.
So that's a really good question, right? And it goes back to this. When I was 18, 19, started off in real estate, all right, there was no social media. Right. It was probably just starting. So I always look at it where, in order for me to learn, in order for me to get a mentor and all these type of things, I had to find them in my local market, my local area where I live, right? And that is something that is a little bit, harder to do, right? So one of the reasons why I got heavy on social media was, there's actually 2 reasons. But one was like, what if I was that kid watching this right now, and I was able to find somebody online that was able to like, one, show me what's possible, make me think completely different. That was powerful, right? So that was one of the things I wanted to get on there to just talk and give back, okay? It turned to be, it ended up becoming way more than that. Right. But another big thing, and this is the honest thing, is that I was a very shy person.
Really?
Yeah, no one,
Now there's no like,
well, nobody believes it. I don't know why.
there's no way you like, yeah, no, I like it, it's, I'm having a hard time believing myself.
Right? And I have the receipts to prove it because I got videos from like 2016, 17 when I first got on video.
Right.
Go watch those videos and you'll see a completely different Bikram. Okay.
Tonality so different.
Day and night, different,
Day and night,
right?
yeah.
So I was shy. I was a little scared, right? I mean, I could do a one-on-one and close people like this,
Right.
literally like this. And I developed that through repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Repetition just meaning, bro, the more people you talk to, the more people that give you rejections and objections, the better you're gonna get to deal with it, the better you know how to close.
Right.
Right. So I got really good at that one-on-one. Okay. But what I did not get good at and what I struggled with was public speaking. Okay, talking in front of a big group of people. And I don't know, something inside me was like, yo, I always wanted to be somebody that could go there and talk on stage, whatever it was, right? So I said, yo, I just got it was actually Manveer, actually my wife,
Wow.
Bibbs.
Word.
And I was like, yo, Bick, you gotta get on. She came out with Real Estate Millions.
Really?
Yeah. It
Shout
was
out to her.
actually her. Yeah, shout out to her. She came up with Real Estate Millions. And I started it as like, yo, let's be different. Because you got to remember, in Toronto, there was nobody that was doing social media in 2016. Really, there wasn't, right? And there was definitely nobody that was like 26 that was doing it, right? So I got on it to become, look, I'm actually reflecting on it, but it made me realize that I could build a brand online by talking about this. I could overcome fears because if I'm talking on camera, right, I'm kind of overcoming a fear.
You are.
Right? And that's kind of how it started. Okay, so it started and I was consistent and then I stopped being consistent, right? Like 2016, 17, I dropped videos, 2018, and I kind of stopped, right? And then I got really, really back onto it around like, I don't know, 2020, 2021, right? And for me at that point, it was like, I wanted to just build an online presence and really just give back because for me, it was just talking about my journey, talking about my obstacles, talking about my fears, talking about all this stuff. And that's kind of how it started. And then from there, we just ended up having so much fun.
Yeah, 100%.
It just became so much fun and it just became such a natural thing to do. But really what it did, it transformed me. Right?
100%.
So if I reflect on the journey, it helped me become this person.
100%. And look at it now, man. You went from being a shy kid that could barely speak to a camera to speaking in front of 20,000 people.
Yeah,
Like think about that, man. Who would have thought, right? Like imagine telling your younger self that.
Yeah, I would have never thought.
Am I right? Like it's crazy. I have a similar story as well. For me, it was like I was the shyest kid growing up. I used to have to like pump myself up to like call my school for orientation. Like what is the orientation again? Because like I was just scared of like social interactions, and even when I was telling someone this actually, even when I made my first couple of videos, I would redo them like 30 times.
Yeah.
Just to make one post, even when I had like no following. Right. And it was very tough on me. It was that repetition that really, really got me going. Do you think that like, it's a very interesting question. I feel like we need to talk about. Do you think everyone should have a personal brand?
Yeah.
But why don't people have personal? Like why can't?
There's certain reasons, right? I'll range some reasons, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's got, listen, I believe in today's economy, today's marketplace, a personal brand is one of the best assets you can have.
It's an asset right there. That's a key word right there. It's an asset.
Right? It's an asset, right? If you treat social media as a tool to grow, all right, it will reward you. If you treat it as a place to just sit there and just go like this all day, right? Then yeah, it is what it is. Right. But if you use it as a tool, it's an asset. It's gonna help you grow your business. It's gonna give you more eyeballs. You're gonna be in front of more people. At the end of the day, you're gonna end up doing more. Right. But there's a lot of people that don't do it for certain reasons. Okay. So my mentor is not on social media.
Right.
And his simple reason is going to where you started was like, yeah, he's super successful, right? He's super wealthy and he likes his privacy. Right. And you got to respect that.
Right.
So, if you want to be completely private, well, then, yeah, don't get on social media because your privacy.
I have a question on that, though. I think, do you believe that you can still build a personal brand while remaining private, right? Because, like, I'm like, yo, what you post on social media is in your control. Whatever you want to keep private, keep private.
That's
right?
actually a very good point.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's like, there's some other things that, people would benefit if they heard from you, right? It's like, people think that when they start a personal brand, they're going to have to start posting their kids and then, like, do TikTok dances with their wives. But it's like, no. You know, you just have to like first just be like, all right, like, you know, what do I want to be known for?
Yeah,
I'll just
100%,
post it,
right?
right?
Like, so my younger brother, you know, I mean, his social media is completely different than mine, right? And you know, you would not know anything about his personal life,
Literally, perfect example, actually.
right? You would not know anything about his personal life. However, he's got a crazy social media brand, but every video he drops is not about him. His video is all about what value can I give to people if I got something like this, okay, when I share it, when I save it, all those type of things, right? So he's always thinking about the person, right? So yeah, you could definitely have a social media brand, a personal brand, without making it, you know, about your personal life.
I think if you're a business owner and you're not a personal, like you don't have a personal brand,
Yeah.
I think you're shooting yourself on the foot.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the lowest risk, highest ROI activity you can do.
Yeah. But what holds a lot of people back? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, and then that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? It's like that transition of like, yo, like how do you get away from that?
Yeah,
you
so
know?
simple things, man. You got to stop caring what people think about you.
Yeah,
Rule number one, stop giving a shit.
right.
All right. Because, you know, if you care what people think about you, well, yeah, you're going to have a lot of problems. Okay. Another big thing is that people, fear of judgment, which is caring what people think about you.
Right.
Right. Maybe like how you said, recording the video 30 times because you don't like the way you look at it.
Yep.
Bro, be authentic. Who gives a shit?
Right.
Be real. The more real you are, okay, the more real you are, the more relatable you are. Right. So that's what you got to do.
Yeah, we're just talking about personal branding, being authentic and all. How has social media helped you in, I guess, outside of business, man, in other areas of your life? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I guess networking and such like that.
I mean, you build a network of people that you don't know, right? So it ties back to the network, right? I'm able to now meet certain people that I've never met. You know, I can go to different cities and I'll know people, right? And we'll collaborate. We met you through social media.
Yeah, actually, that we connected through social media as well. Like originally through your brother, and then like how we really got connected and got to know each other was through social media. Would you say without social media, you would have been able to scale the digital franchise to the level it's at now, or no?
No, I still would have been able to scale it.
You'd for sure.
Yeah,
but I think maybe not at the same speed.
Does social media help? Yes, absolutely yes, right? See, that's why I say if you use it as a tool, it will help you, right? And we use it as a tool,
Right.
right? And it also helped a lot of people on our team. Like we used it as a tool that built their brands, that built their, you know, their social presence. And yeah, it definitely does help.
And what I think I like about your personal brand and social media is that I think you have fun with it. You know what I mean? It's like I'm with you when you record content and such. It's like it doesn't feel like work. It's actually something you want to do, and it's like, you know, you make it fun. And I think
100%, man.
you just got to do it. Like, you know, you got to build a system where it can be fun, and it is fun. It is fun, man. It's awesome to just make content. You know what I mean?
It's a lot of fun, right? And the key word is you gotta have fun.
Gotta have fun.
You gotta enjoy doing it. You gotta have fun because as you have fun, you forget the camera's there.
Yeah. If you were making content and you were not, like, you didn't like what you were talking about, like you could tell in the video.
Yeah.
Anytime I see you in your videos, it's like energy.
Yeah.
Tonality's on point, everything. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're not forcing anything.
Bro, we're not forcing it, man.
Yeah.
You just have fun, right?
At all.
Here, you're there right now, right? Let's go. Let me just clean this camera, right? It just becomes so natural that you could be sitting anywhere. Let's get it with my boy Splash right now.
Yes, sir.
We're at the cottage just finishing up a podcast, talking about life, talking about obstacles, talking about the journey, the ups and downs, touch a little bit on real estate and different things. But guys, when you're online, when you put yourself online, you're opening yourself up to people that don't know you. That's the power of social media. But I'm going to let Splash talk about it because I met him. Actually, he met my brother off social media. But Splash, give him some sauce.
For sure. I mean, every business I've built is all, and that has seen success all because of social media, right? I even tell people outside of money, I've been able to go on private jets for free because of social media. I've been able to meet people because of social media. When I went to Italy, someone took a 10-hour train and literally showed me around in Italy for a whole week because of social media and personal branding. So again, it's one of the most important assets that you could have in 2024 and moving forward as well.
Let's go. Let's get it. Come on. There you go.
Boom.
Just like that.
Live example right there of just recording content, right? And people take 10 years to even just do something simple as like that, which is kind of crazy.
Fear of judgment.
Fear of judgment, man, which is crazy. And actually, we talked about this in the gym the other day, right? Is that people care so much about what other people think, but let's say it's
Got later.
let's say it's time to pay. Let's say it's time to pay the bills, man. It's like, you know, are those people gonna be there helping you or judging? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say you gotta some other stuff. You know.
Here's a quote that I heard. All right. Are you gonna let the opinions of others deny you of your dreams? All right. Are you going to let the opinions of others hold you back from what you could have been?
Right.
Are you going to let the opinions of others, think about this. If you're in a situation right now and you're stuck, all right, and you need some help, can you pick up that person that you care so much about their opinion and say, hey, bro, I'm going through some tough times right now. Can you send me 10K? Are they going to send you 10K? Are they going to send you 10K?
Yes.
Right? They'll send you 10K, right? But ask yourself, if you have someone that you care so much about that's holding you back, but it's not going to be there when you need it, then why the hell do you give a shit? Don't give a shit, man.
100%, 100%. Yeah. Like, again, if you get affected in life, the person that's going to be the most affected is you, not anyone else. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Before we wrap this up, I want to talk about, I think I've asked you this question before. I'm curious on the answer now because it's been a while since I asked you this. You know, you've already achieved a lot, what a lot of people would call the dream life. You know, that all the cars you want, house, you've been able to take care of your family, you've been able to travel, again, live life on your terms, right? And to this day, you know, what motivates you now, man? Like, you know, what does even that next level look like for Bikram Dosanjh?
Okay, so there's a few things, and it's a really good question, right? So a lot of my stuff has to do with my whys. Why do I do what I do? Why do I continue to, you know, why am I at it every single day, right? And I go back to the memories of being a kid, and I go back to my parents working hard. I go back to my parents. You know, I have a vivid memory of, you know, my dad got a letter in the mail that was probably hidden, and I happened to see it right where there, where we grew up, and you know, our house was about to go on power sale. Wow. It's a true story, right? That was kind of one of the things that I always thought about. So when I first got into real estate, I was like, yo, I have to make money. I have to make money. I have to make money, right? So I always go back to the whys because I go back that I never, ever want to go back to that. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, I've done the whole thing of making money and then becoming comfortable and content. And then what ends up happening is that you know, you get lazy. You start chilling with the wrong people. You start partying. I did all that shit. And what that does is that's not the goal at all, right? That's not the goal. And what happens is, you know, too many people get stuck in that and now they start to go down. Right. So I do not want to ever become comfortable and content. I want to continue to always grow, right? Am I happy? Am I grateful? Absolutely, yes, right? But I also have this picture of me in my mind that, you know, when I'm a Bikram that's 65, I don't want to look back and think, shit, man, I should have done this. Because guess what? What we got right now, what everyone's got right now is time.
Right.
And time is the most valuable asset. You guys already know this. You can't pause it. You can't rewind it. You can't forward it.
Right.
You can't do it. So all you can do is what you can do in that time.
Right.
Right. So I look at every day. I start, you know, I've had this philosophy from my real estate days where it didn't matter if I closed 10 deals the night before, because there was weekends where I closed 20 deals.
Right.
All right. And 20 deals means a lot of money.
That's a lot of money too.
But I started the next day with zero. I start every day with zero, right? So it's not money that I go after, right? I go after being the best version of myself. I go out going after my, you know, at the end of the day, it's the potential.
Right.
You know, and it's a game, right? And when you have fun doing what you're doing, it don't feel like work.
Yeah, money's just a byproduct of you just being a better version of you and you being someone of value, right? At the end of the day.
The more value you'd add to society, okay? The bigger impact that you make, right? Money is gonna come.
Right.
Simple as that.
That's why Elon is one of the richest, right?
Right.
Because they're solving some real problems.
Right. And if you really go and, you know, read his book and stuff like that, I mean, the guy talks about that. He was never after becoming the richest man in the world. That was never his goal.
Man.
Right. That was never his goal. Right. His goal was completely different. But his goal was so big and powerful that his goal made him the richest man in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. To your point, you know, they also say it's like you either suffer the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Yeah. And the last thing, you know, the pain of regret is way, way, way stronger.
So you could
pain of discipline.
Pick which one you want.
Yeah. You got to pick wisely.
Yeah.
But before we end this, man, I want to do some rapid fire questions, you know.
Drop it.
Ask you some questions. Out of all the cars you've owned and currently own, which one has been your favorite?
That's a good question. I like the Rolls Royce.
The Cullinan?
Right. Cullinan Black Badge. It's my second Rolls Royce. I bought a Ghost 10 years ago.
How old were you?
24.
24.
Right. 24 Rolls Royce Ghost. Listen, my favorite car on the day-to-day is a S-Class Coupe.
Right. I actually say that all the time, right?
Yeah, I say that all the time. It's my favorite car. It's my lounge.
Right.
If you know what that means.
Oh. I see you guys nice little watch right there.
Yeah.
Audemars Piguet.
Yeah.
You own some other ones as well. Which one out of your collection, which one
is my favorite?
Yeah.
This one's my favorite.
This one really?
Yeah, because I always wanted this watch when I was younger. I always wanted it, and honestly, I never thought I would be buying a watch of this price tag.
Yeah.
I never did, right? But I always wanted it. Okay. And what it does for me, represents all the shit I had to go through
Right.
to get to where I am.
Right.
Right. So yeah, I love watches.
Beautiful. How about cigars, man? Go-to cigar. If you just have to pick, like, let's say 2 or 3 to smoke for the rest of your life.
There's this one that I've been smoking a lot. I know you've had it with me as well. EP Corello Encore.
Encore. That's
So a super underrated cigar. I think a lot of people don't even know about it, but it did win Cigar of the Year 2020. It is a great cigar. I love that. And then, you know, I love the My Father's, Olivas, all that type of stuff.
right. Right. Out of all the places you've traveled to, which has been the most unique and like where you had the best experience?
See, I got to think because traveled a lot. I love Dubai.
Dubai. Oh, word.
Right.
Word. You see yourself ever moving there?
Not full time.
Right. But have like a part-time place there?
Yeah, like one of the things that I want is that I think about is having a place in Dubai. Having, you know, Toronto's got to be home base because family, everyone's here, right?
Course.
But Dubai, Toronto, and Florida.
Dubai, Toronto, Florida. Actually, yeah, that's a really good trifecta, man.
Yeah,
Dubai,
yeah.
Toronto,
Yeah.
Florida.
Those are my spots.
Why do you like Dubai so much?
I love it because it's super safe, right?
Right.
And, you know, it's you do what you want. You feel safe. It's clean. It is a place where you can imagine the next level stuff because
Right.
everything there is like some crazy stuff that someone.
%. Well, Bic, that's been it, man. We're gonna have you back, of course. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching the Keeping It Real podcast. Like I said, I have to bring it back with a bang, and who better than my brother Bikram Dosanjh himself? I'm gonna put all of his socials below. If you guys ever want to contact him, you know he's more than down to help.
For sure, man.
100%. But Bikram, anything else you want to say before we end this podcast?
Let's go. Let's get it.
Let's
already
go.
know.
Let's get it. Perfect. Thank you again, Bikram. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you, brother.